Welcome to the deep dive. If you're a leader, maybe a founder, or just anyone feeling that intense pressure of modern work, you get it. You know the grind. You're that
Mhm.
person who gets things done. You solve problems one after another very linearly. You're productive, but the world,
Mm.
it's accelerating exponentially.
And that's the core tension, isn't it? That feeling that just adding more to your plate, carrying more weight, just isn't working anymore. It's not sustainable.
Exactly. Addition is safe, it's comfortable, but it puts a hard ceiling on your influence. You become the bottleneck.
The very thing that made you successful now limits you.
And our mission for this deep dive is to really just shatter that ceiling. We're going to unpack this idea of a multiplier mindset.
Right. It's a huge strategic shift. We're going to move from asking, what can I do, to a much bigger question. Who can I elevate, develop, and release?
That's an ultimate scaling strategy, really.
It is. And we'll look at where this wisdom comes from. It's ancient, and give you the tools to actually make this a real practice.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's unpack the real difference between these two modes, addition and multiplication, because the default for almost all of us is addition.
It is. That's what we're rewarded for early on. Additive leadership is totally output focused. It asks, how many things can I personally handle?
How much can I generate?
Exactly. And look, you can get impressive results in the short term. No one's denying that.
Yeah.
But the whole model is inherently fragile.
Fragile is the perfect word, because if a team is built on addition, the whole thing depends on that one leader, on their health, their bandwidth.
On their presence, if you're there, things get done. If you step away for a vacation or you get sick or you just need to think strategically for a week.
The whole engine just stalls.
And this is the insidious part. It feels efficient. It feels so much more efficient to just solve the problem yourself, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's 15 minutes for me versus 2 hours to teach someone else.
But that 2 hours, that's an investment. By hoarding that knowledge, you are guaranteeing your own future overload. You're capping the team's potential.
So that's the gravity well of addition. What does the ascent, what does multiplication actually look like? How does it change the math?
It treats capacity as something you share and expand, not something you hold on to. So leadership becomes this act of release, of empowerment,
So you start producing followers.
and you start producing leaders. It's an instant change in the math. One leader doesn't just produce one unit of output. One leader produces two more leaders.
And those two produce 4. It's exponential.
You shift from being the hero who saves the day to being the architect who designs the whole system where other people can be the heroes.
So the key insight here, the real takeaway, is that a leader's greatest contribution isn't the work they do themselves.
Not at all. It's the leaders they develop. Your true influence is measured by the people who rise because of you.
What's so fascinating is we treat this like some new business buzzword, multiplication.
Right.
But this model is foundational. It's ancient.
It's totally ancient. I mean, think about generative principles in nature. Any system that grows, it's always about reproduction, not just accumulation.
And this design provides this really clear 4-generation blueprint. The gold standard for this is actually found in a letter from a mentor, Paul, to his mentee, Timothy.
It's a stunningly clear succession plan. He basically says, what you heard from me, that's generation 1, entrust to reliable people, generation 2.
Who will then be qualified to teach others also.
Right. Generation 3, who will then teach generation 4. It's a chain. It guarantees the mission outlives the founder.
That's the real high leverage strategy. Paul didn't scale by just working harder or talking to more people. He multiplied his capacity by investing deeply in a few key people.
And if we want the ultimate case study, we have to look at Jesus' strategy. He had the option to build his movement on the crowds. That would have been addition.
Mass market appeal.
But he didn't. He deliberately built it on the 12. That was a clear choice for multiplication.
But that choice, it creates a lot of friction for us today, doesn't it? I mean, in a market where speed is everything, focusing on 12 people for 3 years sounds like organizational suicide.
It does, but it's because multiplication requires depth, not breadth. He was focused on long-term sustainability. His model was transformation before delegation.
He spent 3 years shaping their worldview, their character.
Their identity. It wasn't about what they could do. It was about who they were becoming.
So it wasn't enough for them to just execute tasks. They had to embody the mission.
Precisely. And only after that deep investment did he delegate real authority. The crowds were impressed for a day. The 12 changed the course of history.
The lesson there is you can't delegate what you haven't developed.
If you rush the development, you guarantee the delegation will fail.
Okay, so let's bring this into the office today. The sources point to 3 really core internal shifts you have to make. And this isn't just a tweak in strategy, it's about your identity as a leader.
It absolutely starts inside you. And the first one is the hardest. Shifting from control to empowerment.
Control feels so safe.
It feels comfortable because you know the outcome will be good. Empowerment always feels risky. You're trusting someone else's competence.
So how do you actually do that?
Yeah.
You can't just tell a founder to let go when their money and reputation are on the line.
You don't abandon quality. You define the guardrails. You stop managing the tasks and you start managing their decision-making capacity.
So you define the outcome you want, the non-negotiables.
Right. And the resources available. Then you say, within these parameters, I trust your judgment. That is empowerment. It's not abandonment. And it's the only path to a real legacy.
The second shift is about validation. Shifting from recognition to reproduction. I see this all the time. That need to be the one who gets the credit.
Oh, yeah. That's insecurity. The additive leader needs the credit, but the multiplicative leader needs the fruit. It takes a lot of maturity to celebrate someone else's success, especially when you develop them.
It's that old idea. He must increase, but I must decrease. A secure leader is a leader who can multiply.
And that leads to the third shift, moving from building a following to building a future.
Are you building an audience that depends on you? Or are you building leaders who can carry on without you?
If they come to you for every single answer, you've built a following. If they're solving problems you don't even know about yet, you're building a future.
Okay, but this faces huge internal resistance. It almost always comes down to two things, right? Ego and fear.
The fear of failure is a big one. If
Okay.
I delegate this and they mess up, I look bad.
Then there's the fear of redundancy. If I train them to do my job, what's my purpose?
That one is so potent. We tie our value to being indispensable. But the paradox is that the most valuable leaders make themselves redundant in their current role so they can move on to the next bigger challenge.
So if you don't intentionally multiply leaders...
You will unintentionally limit them. And you limit yourself.
Okay, so since this isn't accidental, it has to be intentional. We need some practical tools. Let's start with the first one, the leadership legacy statement.
Right, and this sounds very formal, but it's really not. It's a written declaration of your multiplication goal. Not about KPIs, but about the kind of leaders you want to develop.
So their character traits, their skills, their values.
What core values must they show when you're not in the room? That's the real test.
So it's an internal compass. It forces you to answer, 10 years from now, what impact will my mentees be having? Writing it down makes you accountable.
Without it, mentoring just becomes task management. With it, every conversation is an investment.
And the second tool builds on that, the Leadership Development Journal. This isn't a project log.
No, it's a map of your multiplication journey. This is where you track capacity, not just completion.
So you're recording things like, what high-leverage decision did I empower them to make this week?
What competence did I see, or what character flaw did I need to address? And critically, what level of authority did I actually release to them?
Over time, it moves this whole effort from just a feeling, I think I'm doing a good job mentoring, to a measurable strategy.
And the actionable step for everyone listening is to identify your Timothy right now.
So how do you spot that person? They might be junior, they might not be the most polished person in the room.
You have to look past the existing talent. Look for three things: faithfulness, teachability, and reliability. Timothy was young and maybe even timid, but he was reliable. He was willing to learn.
So you choose character over charisma.
You can train talent. Character is the foundation. That's what you build on.
This all sounds like a very long game. It demands a lot of patience.
It is. It requires consistency. But here's the thing that takes the pressure off. You don't have to wait for them to be perfect. You multiply obedience, you multiply commitment, the growth will follow.
So we've gone from the comfort of just linear addition to the strategic generational power of multiplication. It's a daily choice to see every interaction as an investment and a release.
And when you zoom out, the organizations that endure, the movements that last, they all thrive because their leaders multiplied authority and developed people, not dependencies. Your influence won't be measured by your own list of accomplishments.
It will be measured by the strength of your replacements.
Exactly.
Which brings us to a final provocative thought for you, the listener, as you reflect on this. You are truly successful only when the people you lead can successfully lead the mission without you. So, what specific changes must you make starting today to ensure your influence can genuinely outlive your presence?